I know what you're probably wondering. What more can they do to John? They killed his dog, stole his car, forced him out of retirement, placed a bounty on his head for doing the job they tasked him with. Now he's been excommunicated because he wanted to open his own donut shop and decided to turn this into one of his prototypes on Continental ground. But no one was saying anything while he was on John Wick, really pogo sticking. Hiding in the hotel is not crazy after talking the most shit. At least get this nigga a time limit. Unlimited? He need to get smoked. John was getting the shakes. Now look, had my nigga John Wick full track star, pure cardio. Man was thinking, what would Forrest Gump do in this situation?
Run, Forrest, run!
At this moment, he's looking a little tired, even pitiful. He could really use a Team Flash pep talk.
You can do this now. Run.
They can make a grown nigga smile. You know what? I do got this. He even had the homeless on his ass. I mean, he could use the 14 million. It's raining. It's cold. That beanie is not gonna be enough. I would have upped on John myself. What you talking about? The course of his life was reaching the depth of sadness that even Eeyore lacked an understanding of. A realm of sadness he couldn't even begin to fathom, even with the help of sadness combined. With Patora earrings, they couldn't comprehend. John just got a new dog and had to give his last gold coin to the taxi driver to shelter it to the safety of the Continental while he was preparing to be hunted. John Wick got out of this Vice City styled cab. 20 minutes left until it was
Duck season, fire!
John used his last remaining time to visit a library to get his secret stash and one last smooch from his deceased wife's picture. But this Jack and the beanstalk ass nigga decided to ruin the moment. Like, damn, can John get one? Man can't even share a moment with a damn photograph. And you would think the lead guitarist of Nickelback would understand. Nigga came into the scene reading. Wow. Giant no words. If I was John, I would be tired of the blatant disrespect these cretins constantly show me. I would have to channel an ancient art often frowned upon, and for just reasoning, because I can no longer stand the ridicule of my supposed colleagues who disregard my legend because of their presumptuous sentiment. R. Kelly style, Golden Storm. You have to understand, they are pissing me off, so it's only equal if I piss on them. You stand under me if you don't understand me. Lil Wayne said that. So grab an umbrella, you're in the eye of the storm, and it's winking. I'm sorry. So they start to fight. Giant man, small brain. Couldn't even respect the time John had remaining. Gonna pull out a knife to look stupid with it. Man had never used one of those before. He managed to stab John in the shoulder and stood there like, me did, good job. His reward? Man got his throat massage, lost the knife, should've never had one of those to even begin with, but then finally decided to put his sides to use, like Shaq and his female companions. Never mind, John had something special in store for him.
Read, nigga, read!
Who is this? They're feeling like Great Khali's more ass twin brother. Sorry, had John flying across the room with a big boot, but he just doesn't believe in defending himself. He just let the book get thrown at him, and when he did apply pressure, it was more stay back. Nigga, this is not Disney. He can move your hand. Long ass legs and still couldn't be 2 steps ahead of John. The concept of a follow-up was scary, like he loathed the idea of going to the doctors, but still allowed himself to be fucked up to the point of needing a doctor. Oh my god, John really wanted him to digest the message in this book. It must be riveting, like hatred on TikTok. John was really trying to shove it down his throat. Look at his face. He truly seemed worried he wouldn't consume the story in its entirety. Had the man's mouth lopsided as if he got hit with some Novocaine, like Carter 4. And the way he was getting his ass beat, he could have used a feature like Kevin Rudolph. Too bad, John had his neck breaking like you heard a noise in the middle of the night. John turned that book into a Stephanie Meyer page turner. Caused someone's son to rise to the afterlife like it was breaking dawn. Then he gonna put the book back, blood and all. I guess it add character, mystery. Like damn, is this book really to die for? It was the first fight, and he was already wounded. And the sad thing is, he's technically not supposed to be hunted yet. Even the Bowery King turned against John, and boy, it was looking bad. John was clinging to that last 5 minutes, went to the doctor for one last treatment, and he was a real one until the end. He even had John pop him twice to secure his own safety. He does not want the high table thinking he was helping John. And then he was back on the run, and the chasing officially started. So many victims lured with the siren song of $14 million, had them mesmerized to the point they forgot their own limitations, marching to the end of their own lives. Natural selection at its finest. The entire time, they thought they were hunting John while he was preparing for the game. Frankenstein and a weapon from the relics on display. I mean, he only got one shot before he turned back into a track star, but like the plot of the Simpson movie, he domed the first dude that came into the room, but he didn't run far. he waited in the cut. It was like the great gift exchange. And what's the best present? Hands. Had the first dude flipping and the second one followed. But the first dude is kinda slow. Think of Ed from Ed and Eddie, but also Algernon at the end of the book. Man had a fully functional pistol in his hand, decided to stand up and hand his gun to John like it was a late assignment, and he was eager to finally turn it in. What was the grade? F for the floor. Now the other one did get up on timing. Damn near had John in a full Nelson. Almost erased all the hard work he curated over his career, because not only was he put into a full Nelson, he let the nigga take him window shopping. I mean, he is on his third movie of damn near non-stop squabbles, but a full Nelson? He only escaped after taking the fight to the ground, but had his hair pulled. This man was getting the 14 regardless, but the moment they stood up, they realized there are mad weapons around us, and they got into that knife play. Just less kinky and more deadly, but the trash kept making his way into the room, getting sniped by a knife while armed, and the one that tapped your shoulder with the blade like he was Rimble was locked in the squabble. Leave, go home. You don't need 14 mil. You need to sit your ass down. Still, I mean, he got up and hit a drop kick like that somehow made it better. It didn't. You had a gun in your hand when you walked in. That means you dropped it to become a WWE superstar. Stupid ass. He thought his dress shoes were more mighty than a bullet. He could have even used a knife, something other than a loafer or whatever he was wearing. I just know it doesn't have any laces. Goddamn toddler mindset. Never mind. With aim like this, I can see why he chose the drop kick. You can't really miss a drop kick. The squabble broke out into a food fight with a slight variation, just an unlimited amount of knives being thrown everywhere, but mostly inside meat sheaths known as bodies. And this is one of the first times I actually saw someone lose a ranged battle to a knife. Rounded the corner to the afterlife. Man got his life cut short during a cutscene, and he didn't even know what happened. They're supposed to be there to collect a bounty. Nah, now the only bounty they need is a quicker picker-upper to clean up all that damn blood they were losing, because John was giving him more blade time than Mahershala Ali could ever dream about. See, that nigga became Blade. He didn't even need to marvel at the idea. It was just tossed at him, and somehow this man's trigger finger and aiming hand was blind or infertile. Must have been shooting blanks. No way you missed that close. John was busy staring at his handiwork when this dumbass came up behind him, walking every step. This nigga did not want to skip one. I swear, I heard each one of his toes move independently. He must have left his eyes in the car and tried to place the ranged weapon known as a pistol against John's chest, sort of like a finger to braille. He didn't know if that was truly his target or not. But with a performance like that, we know what happened. Trying to gangbang someone with an axe, and all he's doing is simply moving and smacking each one of you, hands together. You're not getting paid unless the Grim Reaper carries cash. The man knocked John to the floor and spun. Nigga Cinderella now? At first, he was Stevie wondering how a gun worked. Now he was twirling to no music. Look at him. I hate this nigga the most. I don't know why. His performance put me in a bad mood. Now I'm blaming him for everything that happens. Got this man turned into a unicorn that had a lobotomy. And see, this is why you can't help but to f with John. He saw his eyes were failing him and realized he needed LASIK. No insurance needed. And I don't know if he felt a disturbance in the force, because the man who placed him in a full Nelson was still breathing. But he turned into a prime COD player and tomahawked cross map. That story was gonna be one lost to time. This man thought he was gonna be cooling by a campfire, grandchildren surrounding him, and he could regale them with a tale about how he stood alone and placed a feared boogeyman into a full Nelson. Not today. Goddamn ninja mobiles. They just keep striking. But the second car had no passion behind it. Nothing but a love tap. I swear I saw at least 9 boyfriends on TikTok get hit by one of these exact hits. What? And just walk it off. I would have backed up until I saw nothing but a blur in a suit. Then gunned that like Vin Diesel was next to me trying to race. Then bam! John was now wickless. The embers of his life gone like a match against the wind. Only the smoke remains. Because I am now smoking him, as the gangbangers would say. Give me my money. But I have the mindset of a future millionaire. They were obviously there to play around, because they sat in the car watching John get up and run away. Did your car only come with one hit? They are driving around in a TikTok musician's career. Only after seeing John vanish into the unknown did they give chase. We know what happened after that. John beat the hell out of this man, plain and simple. Spun him around like a bad bitch on date night. Rolled him up WWE style. Kicked him in the mouth, and after such a beautiful display, he went back to pick up his reward. This man's unused pistol. This nigga rounded the corner and shot at the gun. Is it hit on the gun or John? His body was more exposed than a Free the Knit rally, but he aimed at the ground. He must really hate Mother Nature. Then didn't shoot again. Fucking stage fright. Get the best of us. This has to be the worst nigga in the movie. He watched the horse charge up the kick and thought, let's kick it. The third one came in shooting at Casper, Danny Phantom, the Avatar state after Korra was done with it. Just his own delusions. They were why he thought he was skilled enough to win 14 million. Died the same exact way as the last one. Damn. John really dragged the last one. That's crazy. Then got in a high-speed chase with motorcycles while he was on horseback. And first dude really rolled up and grabbed John's shoulder like he wanted a friendly conversation, but had his mind blown like a monkey with a magic trick. The second one watched his counterpart die and was like, nah, that was a fluke. Let me try. Common sense must have died in the last movie with Cassian, because there was no way anyone in this movie has a functional brain that could process anything other than,
I like turtles.
I'm confused. After breezing through the fodder, some of them were really but a light breeze. He arrived at this theater and slammed it across against the glass, had the woman mesmerized by such bling that it gained him an audience with the director, leader of the Ruska Roma, hope I said that right, and he got on his knees pleading for her assistance as a member of her organization, and she went on an entire spiel, like, damn, are you gonna help me or lecture me until I doze off? Talking about some, you did this for a puppy? Now if you simplify it, yes, a puppy did start it, but to me, the puppy was merely the first domino knocked down in a more complicated problem. The overarching theme is ignorance. Many acted in a way which brought consequences they couldn't even fathom. Believing their name and the feeble power that they held could protect them against the harm they brought a man granted the name Baba Yaga. But John too was overcome with ignorance, allowing a moment to sweep him away, thrusting him into more danger and violence, consuming his life. But yeah, a puppy in a car. If you want to keep it simple. So after getting his chain snatched, that branded, they gave him a passage to Casablanca. But we get introduced to a new character, the Adjudicator. But if she can't toss hands and only uses the name of the high table to instill fear, I don't care about her. But I'm sorry to say this, not to sound too crazy, she said, Winston, John's alive because you allowed it. Yeah, he gave John an extra hour, but John was definitely gonna kill everybody in the hotel if he needed to escape. The assassins employed by the high table are highly ass, except a very few. She gave Winston 7 days until he dies or loses his leadership of the hotel or something. Then went to visit the Bowery King, and she had the exact gun John used, but I thought John used all 7 bullets during the fight and took someone else's gun to kill that dude. And plus, how she know the Bowery King gave it to him? The high table. I guess. She gives him 7 days until he loses his throne as the Bowery King. I would have tossed her bald-headed ass off the roof. You have 7 stories until you hit the ground. I hope you enjoyed the cliff notes. So John was now in Casablanca, feeling like speed once his feet hit the international soil, just being followed by the locals. And they had the audacity to pull up and pose, surrounding him, and fight one at a time. John was moving and folding this dude like yesterday's laundry, had him facing the wall, when another one of the people decided, you know what, it's my time to shine. Like a broken light bulb, dismissed with one hand as fast as he came. It really the combat equivalent of a one-pump chump. But back to the first one, give me that throat. Somehow still had control as he turned back to him, kicking another would-be assassin out the picture. Took the first man's knife, he really didn't need it. Laid him down, damn near tucking him into the cobblestone softness that was the ground. Engaging with another one who only plan was to, I don't know, it wasn't to win. He had to know he was ass. That's a funk pungent enough to create visual imagery. Straight green stink streaks painting the air around him when a man appeared from the shadows, illuminated by only the piercing shine of his bald head and the lone flame of his lighter as he lit a cigarette or something, trying to appear powerful, important, casting out a command with a single word: enough. No nigga, watch this combo as I turn into Remy on them and start slicing and dicing. Someone's becoming stew tonight and you can't get off this pickle. So apparently the manager of this place, hotel, granted him brief protection, but I'm confused. I gotta scratch my head. Why was this man talking like he was about to win? Nigga, back was against the wall, literally talking about some, he's excommunicated in your ass. Why we stating the obvious? So he put us to Sophia Holly Berry. Use his marker she gave him and ask for her help. Bring him to her old boss. And boy, John was bringing consequences to everyone that helped. The Adjudicator asked this man, Zero, to assist in getting rid of everyone who helped John. How do they know who helped him? You said they did high table? No, they must have the magic mirror or something. But they pulled up on this old lady, stabbed her in the hand. She just gave this man a boat ride. That's it. But damn, they body mad at her people. I'm sorry, but there is no way I'm creating my own organization that governs under the high table. And I'm not preparing to go to war with the high table anytime they try to over whoever opposes their rules. It's gonna be a lot of infighting, but nothing about it is gonna be civil. So Sophia takes John to her old boss, Barada, I think, where he tells John how to get what he wants, which is an audience with the elder, a person above the high table. Basically, you have to walk into the desert until you pass out. That simple. Freaky ass way to find somebody, but I guess. You know what he wanted? He wanted one of Sophia's dogs. No, nigga, you have to state your price before you dole out the service, because I'm gonna be inclined to refuse if you get beside yourself. A dog, nigga? You heard what John did for his puppy, and it wasn't even a fully grown dog yet, I think. I don't know, it's been like 2 years since I watched the first movie. The dog could have been an adult. I have no idea. And of course, it led to a disagreement that couldn't be solved with the power of words. It needed the influence of lead. Barada shot one of Sophia's dogs. What? Someone if I can't have it, no one can? That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Sophia looked back at John. The crash out was loaded on her face. Thoughts were racing through her mind, and none of them was positive until it was positively about murking this dude. And John tried to offer her a dissuasive plea of a sole word, even though that's hypocrisy at its finest. But I guess that's why he could offer this perspective. But she didn't listen. Slid her hidden Glock from the dog's bulletproof vest and started filling that again with lead like he was a Scantron test sheet. In fact, it was multiple choice. She was seemingly filling in every one of the choices. She was handing out lead to everyone there. Well, I don't think she's gonna be managing for much longer. This was a mess that they fought their way out of. I don't mean to be mean, but... So now John was finally in the desert. Sophia paid her dues regarding the marker, and they go their separate way, with John walking at least 3 days before he collapsed. The adjudicator paid the Bowery King a visit, and boy did Zero and his boys understand the art of jumping like they ran a bounce house company. They were just in there painting the Bowery King men like a Picasso masterpiece, and the Bowery King just allowed himself to go down. No fight back. The adjudicator said his punishment for the 7 bullets he gave John was 7 slashes. He took it. He didn't raise his hand like he had a question or anything, I guess. We cut back over to John, and he finally got his audience with the elder, who looked younger than the niggas around him. Nigga was at least 45 with a title such as elder. I mean, in the world of TikTok, the nigga is ancient, I guess. But he offered John a chance to regain his life free from being hunted. But for that life, he must take a life and plead fealty to the table, working as nothing but a dog waiting for their whistle. To which he agreed, taking the mission for the reward of peace, no matter how faulty it sounded. So he gave up his finger, and his first mission was to kill Winston. We entered the lounge waiting for John to have his meeting with Winston, and this nigga turned into Mindy Valdez, John's #1 fan. For lack of better words, glazing, Krispy Kreme style, extra sticky, doing more licking than John's dog. Anyway, he has his meeting with Winston in this discombobulating room, just transparency and blue. Him and Winston share a heart-to-heart, where John decides to not kill Winston, and Winston decides to rage war against the table. When the adjudicator came in, understood the situation, turned her back on both of them, made a call, taking away the status of the New York Continental, turned back around, and they did nothing to her. Kill her. Why did they allow her to walk away? The only thing she'll be adjudicating is the afterlife version of America Got Talent. I would have turned her back into Connect the Dot, Hot Lead Edition. But I guess, to each their own. They started gearing up and arming themselves for the cannon fodder that was to come. John done killed so many people, and more people were still eager to ride on a boat to the afterlife. 2 buses to be exact. A school field trip to the great beyond. Tell me why they tossed at least 15 of these stun bomb grenades, or whatever you call them, into the room just to come in posing. Not gonna lie, it's a nice pick. Perfect for the shirt they'll get ready to be put on very soon. They came in, and John came out the armory locked and loaded, big ass gun in hand, and he wasn't loading on them, full therapy session style, but they were like cockroaches. John had to unload 2 magazines into them like he was reading them a bedtime story. They were wearing fucking Kryptonian pews woven into armor, allowing them maximum playtime with the hotel workers without the fear of death, only falling to the mighty wicking John was doling out. John made his way to this room. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, whoever this was beating on John like a keyboard during Fortnite. He was trying to do him dirty, leg into the air, both hands cupped underneath the bottom to increase the maximum power output, only to miss. But he was definitely trying to ass kick the legend out of John. This man was twirling, eating John kick after kick, had him really window shopping. Again, John window shopping 2 times in a movie? Crazy. You gotta do better. I don't know why I'm saying that. My bad. You are going crazy. Wait, there were 2 of them? Why y'all jumping him? 1 was enough. Believe in yourself. You said shut the f up and watch you jump him? Understandable. Continue. The fight reset with John now armed with a gun, but he lost it with an arm smack and a chop to the throat. John reached out for anything, a semblance of victory. Nope, had his hand twisted like a doorknob to open up his body for some shots. Non-alcoholic, but it still has some kick to it. Clap it up. Right now, this jumping, they are beating John's ass. Told him to shut up before they gave him something to cry for. Had him going through glass, sliding on his back, pure backstrokes. But I knew it was over for them at this moment. One of them pulled out a weapon. See? undoing all their hard work. Sad, but the night was far from over for John. Really no rest for the wicked, especially in John's case. He thought he just needed to finish Zero for at least a brief relax. Nope, here comes a man, louder than any car in this movie, blowing his sneak attack because he really needed to scream in order for his attack to be powerful. John blocked the first attack with his newly acquired sword, the second with his arm, tried to end the fight fast and decisive, casting out 2 slashes. He was hitting something, either him or his ponytail, it didn't matter, but only the air felt the slicing force of John's sword. The second was just waiting in full Carl mode. Look at his eyes, John. I don't think he's feeling violent. That was more romantical, and I see why. He also loved the concept of not keeping his feet on the ground and using them against others. Had John twisting and stumbling, then laid out like a blanket on the floor during a sleepover, as Mad Dog slid tackled the gravity off John, turning him airborne for a brief moment. Okay, Amarion. Maybach, oh. Man was hitting moves like he was trying to let John know, you got served. Locked John's sword arm up, still on the ground, mind you. Then bam, back on the ground John went, into a checkmate. But they were really enjoying themselves. They was appreciating the moment to fight John Wick. They let the fight reset, and it didn't go any better. He still managed to have a meeting with the floor. They reset one more time. This time, John thought, you know what? Okay, let me go Pootie Tang, straight belt to ass. For real this time though. That made a world of difference. He was flipping them around Krabby Patty style, manhandling them at the same time, resetting for the 3rd time. But now John was in his murderous rhythm. Grabbed the first one, he was tossed to the side, lightweight. Mad Dog came in, swinging around his knife. John said, give me that arm and get your ass on the ground. Damn. The other one got back up. Not for long. He should have stayed his stupid ass down. I could tell John was just about to burp him with how bad he was little boying him. Just no wait. Mad Dog rushed in. John had his chest singing with his sweet chest music, and he was still holding on to the other one by his leather jacket like a leash, just smacking him on the back. See, I told you, he was about to burp him. Mad Dog got turned into a bad had his jacket hanging down halfway on his shoulders like a dress. John was still not out his wrestling bag yet. Grabbed the other one, angled him to the glass. That was it for them. They did not want to get back up. And now we move on to the last main threat, Zero. John walked straight into action, exchanging blades, but with his injuries and battle fatigue, he was much slower, being a victim to the faster attacks of Zero. Look, he was dropping it low while John was trying his damnedest not to get dropped, but he was still dropped. About the 19th glass panel John went through in this fight alone, and that's when John realized, nope, no more. His key to victory was not to let Zero go like a clingy girlfriend. No matter what he did, he wouldn't let go. Zero was stuck with him, had John nibble on his hand and everything. That's how committed he was to winning. John flipped Zero, and he still didn't let him go until he tossed him for the 2nd time. Now he was stalking him from the shadows, and I don't know what he popped while he was hiding in the darkness, but he was like a different beast once he embraced the light. Zero thought he had him. Nope, give me that neck. Pause. Fingers reverberated against the naked skin of his head. Pain so severe, had all 32 showing. Fed his face from glass, not once, but twice. That's back to back. Let him go just to weave his attack. Then palmed his ass to the floor, flipping all. What did John pop? Took Zero's sword. Never mind. Zero took it back with interest. Then instead of using the sword, tried comboing him with kicks. Missed both of them and lost his sword once again before going through the glass. In existence, all too familiar with John. You can tell with how quick he recovered. This was normal to him now, like breakfast. Some niggas eat Wheaties, he was chewing on glass. In the moment I saw Zero crawling, unable to take his first steps, I knew it was over. He tried lashing out with random ass spin kicks, but they lacked passion. John just poked a hole in his performance, and I don't know how the adjudicator knew John was done eviscerating the help she brought, but she wanted to have a sit down with Winston. She was starting to sound asthmatic, and John was causing too much smoke. It was getting deadly. Winston and the adjudicator were having a measuring contest. Who's bigger? Who got the most size? Winston was talking big, like real deal big, as if he had a Clifford size mentality, saying he could stand against the table. That was until he saw John and recanting all that, begging for some high table scraps. And the moment the adjudicator agreed, he got the blasting on John, sending him off the roof. That fall had more hits than a Carter 6. Crazy. But when all was said and done, John's body was moved. Safe from the influence of the high table, Winston got his hotel back, and the Barber King showed his head as the one who saved John, sipping on his strawberry Fanta, letting us know he was ready to go to war with the high table. Ending off the movie. Thanks for watching.